Right, folks, welcome to another live event. As a matter of fact, the first of 2024. So happy New Year. We did a news update already this year, but this is the first live. If you're not familiar with the format, we answer as many questions as we can about drones in 1 hour. And by we, I mean me. We do have our team back there checking your questions. We have Jason all the way in the back room. We have Ethan behind the controls, and we have Ben making faces. And then, yeah, that's about it. Ben is the funny guy who edits all the news update videos and puts all the funny stuff at the end, sometimes thinking he's smarter. We have a lot of questions already in the chat, but I want to say a little welcome to a few of our folks that watch us on a regular basis. We have Thorls and Spy Cartwright, Recovery One Drone, Travis Cheney. We have Robert Martinez, SWW Tech, Carl F12 here pretty much every week. We have BWM Celaya, whatever that means. Tom Jackson. We have another Greg Perrigan. We have, who else? Tom and Droneman Murphy. We have G Christ, one. Okay. Robert Droner, and a few other people I see coming in. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I apologize if you waited earlier. We had somehow a mishap, and we had a live going at around 11 o'clock local time here, about 5 hours early. We're not sure what happened. All of our lives are scheduled for 4 p.m. All of a sudden, this one was changed to 11:03, which is a weird time. So we apologize for that if you waited. I saw that there were a few of you in the comments, a little too late, unfortunately. I did reply, but this is it. Now we are here and we are live. So thanks for watching. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else before we get started. Yeah, we've been working on a really cool project over the Christmas break, and it's coming to fruition now. So in about 2 weeks, we should be releasing something new and something really cool. As a matter of fact, 2 things we're going to be releasing by the end of this month. One of them I can talk about. It's going to be a new app for watching the course. This is to replace the Teachable app, which as some of you that may be using the Teachable app is not perfect, far from that. We decided to actually hire someone to create our own app. So we will have access to a brand new app. Right now, it's in the final testing phase, and you're going to be able to do cool stuff on here. Download the videos to watch offline being the primary thing. I know a lot of you want to do this. Right now, the only way to do it is by using the app. Right now, the app is only available on Apple devices. This new app will be available also on Android devices. So I'm pretty excited about this. Yes, somebody says, will it be Android compatible? It will be Android compatible. And then not only that, but you'll be able to watch the videos and download them. It should be quicker. It should look better. It has notification. It has a way to remind you to study. So you can put a reminder in there every day at 6 o'clock. Boom, it sends you a notification, and then you go and study. So that's cool. I'm excited for that. We've been waiting for a while. The app actually has been ready for a while. It was missing one final component, and Teachable wouldn't release it, and they finally did. So yeah, so that should be going live. I'll let you know when, but I'm really excited about this because, well, it's one of the big pain point, I think, for a lot of you. Also, you'll be able to log into that app using your Pilot Institute login. No more needing to have a Teachable account as well, although it is a Teachable account, but it's a Pilot Institute Teachable account, not just a regular Teachable account. In the past, you had to link your account to that account. Just a big pain in the butt. So we finally went away from that. So I'm pumped. I'll let you know when it comes out finally. Once we're done with all the internal testing, then we should be ready to do that. And then somebody's asking, are all the Teachable courses going to move to it? Yeah, any course that you have access to right now, it's basically just the same access. There's really nothing different. It's just a different way to access the courses. So you'll be able to do that from there. Yeah, exciting. And then the other thing that we have, I cannot talk about it just yet, but man, I really want to. But it's also going to be really cool. A new way to kind of interact with the course and interact with people. more on that very soon when we have, well, more stuff. So I'm pumped. Okay, let's get to the questions, starting with Jimothy. Jimothy says, going to start it off with a good one. I'm going to New York City next week and we'll be in Manhattan. The area is Class Bravo airspace, and there's also an SFRA, Special Flight Rule Area, in place. Can I even fly with the SFRA in place? No, you cannot. Even if you get LANS approval, there is a restriction in New York City to fly your drone. You have to apply for a permit, recreational or commercial, doesn't matter. The only place you can fly in New York City is a few of the parks. I recommend that you go to our wiki page to find out more, or you submit an application. It has to go to the New York City Police Department and get approved. It's a bit of a convoluted process. So, yep, don't get caught flying in there. It can be really expensive and not recommended. James says, evening from Germany. Ask a question before user part 107 commercial. Why fly drone with no air sense? Two accident helicopter. Which aircraft have ADS-B? Yeah, not all aircraft, unfortunately, have air sense installed in them. I actually don't remember the model of the aircraft that recently crashed into the helicopter in Daytona, but there's a possibility that it didn't have air sense. But not only that, although that aircraft was flying in Class Charlie airspace, so it should have had ADS-B broadcasting. But I agree with you. There's no reason why drone manufacturers should not have an ADS-B receiver in every single drone that we purchase to help us. Now, keep in mind, ADS-B is not a perfect technology. It's not always on, although in this case, that helicopter should have had ADS-B to fly in there. So I have to agree with that. Do you think the TFR will be better enforced for the NFL playoff that are coming up? I don't know that the TFR for the NFL have not been enforced, so I don't know that there's a better way to enforce them. It's definitely going to be in place, and you definitely need to be checking the chart to find if there is a TFR in place for that area. But yeah, don't get caught for that. Yeah. Next, when is the FAA going to start enforcing remote ID, and what do you think about Holy Stone FAA compliant remote ID broadcast module? When is the FAA enforcing? In March of this year, 2024, March 21st of 2024 is when they're supposed to be enforcing, or to begin enforcement technically. So remote ID is active, is required right now. It won't be enforced until March, although the FAA could still enforce it today. It's an enforcement on a case-by-case basis. As far as the Holy Stone FAA compliant remote ID module, it's the cheapest, one of the cheapest module available out there. It's FAA approved, and that's all I'm going to say. So I bought the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but with the longer lasting battery, yes. Now the drone is around 267 grams, yes. It cannot be classified as category 1, but what about category 2, and what's the benefit? It is not a category 2. So here's the deal with the categories, because I'm sure a lot of people have questions about this. Category 1 is a it's a self-declared compliance. So if your drone is sub 249 grams and has prop guards or doesn't have propellers that can cause laceration, then it classifies as a category 1. Category 2 and category 3 and 4 are different because they need approval from the FAA. So they need to have paperwork if you want. That's called declaration of compliance. So you can't just say, well, my drone is 267 grams, so now it's a category 2 because it's not a category 1 anymore. So that doesn't work that way. There's other requirements that need to be met, but the biggest of the requirements is that someone needs to submit the paperwork to the FAA to say, hey, I want this thing to be category 2 approved, with a lot of proof as to why it qualifies. So no, it's not a category 2. In this case, it's nothing. It's an uncategorized drone, which means that you cannot fly it over people and moving vehicles. How do we know if our remote ID is working? Tom Jackson is asking. Great question. There's 2 different ways depending on the type of drone that you have. The first one is to download the app on your phone, one of the apps on your phone, in order to figure out other remote ID drones in the area and see if it's broadcasting. The other method is if you have a DJI drone, for example, you can click on the top left corner, kind of like on the top left bar, there's a little status area. And when you click on that, it should have a message. It should pop up like a status of the aircraft, and it should tell you broadcasting remote ID or remote ID broadcasting, something to that extent. If you don't have that in there, then you don't have a drone that's compliant. With that being said, if your drone is on the approved list of remote ID compliant drones, then you should assume that it is working correctly, but there should be a message in the app to tell you that it is. Next question. Carlos is saying, I have a Mavic MA2, Mavic Air 2, I'm guessing. Mavic Air 2 drone, which tablet can I use with the best brightness? Ooh, are you going to test me on the compatibility of tablets? I don't remember what the Mavic Air 2 is compatible with, but I'm pretty sure there is one of the DJI controller is compatible. Either the original one or the new one is compatible with it. So I think we have an article on our website that talks about this, but I would say one of the DJI controller, whichever one is compatible, will have probably the best brightness to use with that. I love using the smart controllers from DJI or from other manufacturers, quite frankly, because I think it works really well with flying the drone. Drone scanner did not show my drone Phantom 4 Pro V2 on the screen. So Tom, the Phantom 4 Pro, last I checked, and this could have changed over the Christmas break, but last I checked, there was an issue with the Phantom 4 Pro V2 that was supposed to turn on remote ID, but it didn't. And I think they're supposed to put a new one out. Jason in the chat might be able to, under our Pilot Institute thing, might be able to tell us if that's the case or not. But yeah, basically that's the idea. I don't think the 4 Pro right now is remote ID compliant because of a firmware issue. I know it broke the GPS capability. So next, first-time flyer in the US. I have a DJI Mini 4 Pro and took the Trust through your site. Been practicing on DJI Simulator, but thought if DJI will be banned for recreational use as well. No, I don't think we have to worry right now about DJI being banned for recreational use in the US. The reason I'm saying this is because the people that are lobbying against DJI, the two companies that are lobbying really hard against DJI, don't sell drones for recreational pilots. They only sell drones to the government, and so they have no real interest in getting you banned. They want to get the government contracts and make the money that way. So I don't think you have to worry about that bit. Which I have a lot to say about this, but I'm not going to say it, not on this show because we have a lot of questions to ask. But this latest ADA, what is it called? The American Drone ASDA? American? Crap. Anyways, I don't know why I can't remember the shortcut right now. Worked hard all day. So anyway, what we just talked about in the news updates. ASDA, thank you. The latest ASDA language is absolutely atrocious if you think about the fact that this all started because there's theoretically a threat from DJI drones. And but in the latest language, there is a 2-year period before this ban goes into effect. And after that, well, there's a 2-year period, and then after that, it's going to be okay to fly DJI drones again, just because we want to give a 2-year lead to those companies that are trying to get your DJI drone banned. So it makes no sense. If there is a threat, then let's stop it right now. Show us the threat, cancel all DJI drones, and then we move on. But at this stage, if you're saying there's a threat, you can't produce the proof that there is a threat. And then 2, you're saying, well, it's okay for 2 years, but in 2 years, that threat is no longer going to be an issue. Anyways, it's all contradictory, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, peep, peep, peep. Yep, Vic is saying the words that I don't want to say. Should I use my trust permit or my Part 107 to have my 9-year-old to fly my drone while I stand next to him? I would say in this case, fly using trust. Even better, quite frankly, sit down with your 9-year-old and go through trust with them. Now, the certificate, I think, is limited to 13-year-olds. But still, go through the process, teach them the rules, and then stand next to them using trust as a recreational flight, and then just fly with them. But that would be my recommendation. I wouldn't fly under Part 107. I don't think there's any reason to, although there's no downside to doing that either if you have your Part 107. I had my recreational registration before Part 107. Do I have to unregister the drone if I registered it under Part 107 side of drone zone? You don't have to unregister. You can have the drone registered recreationally and under Part 107. Now I'm going to say something that can be a little bit confusing, but this whole registration thing and getting a new registration under Part 107 can get confusing. When you get a registration on the FAA drone zone, it's a Part 48 registration, meaning that the registration is governed by 14 CFR Part 48. If you look in the Part 48 registration language, there's only one really type of registration. The only language that is different is the FAA says, or the regulation says, if you have a drone that's flown under Part 107, you need a registration for each of the drones that you have. If you fly under recreational purposes, you can use one registration for all of them. So I'm going to give you a scenario. You have 3 drones, and they're all registered recreationally. And now you want to register one of these drones under Part 107. Well, you have to go and create a new registration under the Part 107 side of the FAA drone zone, and then get a specific registration number that you're going to apply to that specific drone. Now, different scenario. You have one drone and it's flown for recreational purposes. You registered it under recreational purposes. Technically, that registration is also valid under Part 107 because it is a Part 47 registration already. It's ready to go. So it can get confusing, but if you only have one drone that's registered recreationally, you can technically use that registration under Part 107 because it's the same registration. There's only one. It's when you have more than one drone that it becomes, then you have a need to do that. Not a lot of people know that, understand that. I've never really talked about it because I don't want to get people confused. But in this case, you don't have to unregister. You just keep that registration active on the recreational side and then have the 107 as well. Put that registration number on the drone and then you'll be good to go. Is there an update as to who was at fault in the helicopter versus drone crash? I can guarantee you, without going into too much detail, that anytime there is one of these, the drone pilot is going to be at fault because helicopters can fly below 400 feet and helicopters have priority because they're manned aircraft and drones are on the bottom of the priority list. So in this case, there's other factors as well that make the pilot, I'm going to sound like that lawyer on TikTok, makes the pilot liable for hitting the helicopter. You watch that guy too? He's funny. So in this case, we'll wait until the final investigation, but the drone pilot seems to be at fault, unfortunately, here in this case. And we'll find out more when the details come out. There are details that I have that I can't talk about just yet until they're made public, but yes. My drone photography business operates on roadways during accident scenes. Interesting. Under Part 107, is there an emergency process to gain access to Class B airspace? 0 pre-approved. I only need about 75 feet. That's tough. There's no emergency access unless you are... let me think about that for a second. SGI might work in this case. I'll tell you what, who's asking this? Falcon Aerial Imagery. If you have my email address, send me an email. If you don't, send an email to contact@pilotinstitute.com. And then let's talk on this side because I want to do more research and take a look. But I think SGI might work, but we'll walk you through that step by email. It'll be a little bit easier. I have started flying my M3, I'm assuming Mavic 3, at night, meeting all the requirements. I'm enjoying filming night cityscapes. That's cool. This means that I'm frequently flying over roads and highways with car. Is that okay? No, it is not okay. You cannot fly over people or people in moving vehicles, so that's cars. So no, if you're flying over roads and highways with your drone at night or during the day, that's a no-no. So you need to find a path that takes you out of the way of these roads, these roadways. Can you register a drone under 249 grams that is only used recreationally? You can. You can register a drone that is sub 249 grams if you fly it recreationally, even though it's not required. Now, here's a catch. By doing this, you bring a requirement for you to have remote ID. As soon as you register a drone, it needs to have remote ID, even if registration is not required. I know it sounds confusing, but so yes, you can, but you will also need to meet remote ID requirements. Next, but do you need remote ID since you have, okay, so that's a follow-up question to Joe Perry. I don't know what question that was. Okay, let's see if I can answer. Do you need remote ID since you have a registration under recreational only flying? Ooh, I don't know what question that was for. I think I'm going to try to answer this by saying you need remote ID if your drone is registered or if it requires registration. I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers the question. Mini 3 Pro flying recreationally, you do not need registration, so you do not need remote ID. But if you, like the person just asking previously, if you register it, as soon as you register that drone, then it needs remote ID. Okay, Tim King, could you briefly describe what remote ID is? Yes. Remote ID is a... Oh, by the way, before I go into this, I see Vic's comment. No recreational flights are allowed inside of the DC freeze FRZ area. So that was for Exive Motorsport that was asking. Okay. So Tim King, to go back to Tim, describe what remote ID is. Remote ID is regulation that was put in place by Congress, and it's a requirement for your drone to broadcast its location as well as the location of the pilot, depending on the type of remote ID technology that you use. So it's a module it's a piece of technology that's inside of your drone. Think about it as like a GPS chip that is broadcasting the location of the drone to other devices on the ground. Those devices can be, for example, a cell phone or an iPad, something that's going to catch that signal, or a specific device designed to capture that data. Then you'll be able to locate the location of the drone. But also, if your drone uses the technology called standard remote ID, then it's going to broadcast the location of the pilot as well. There's 2 ways to comply with remote ID. 3 ways to comply with remote ID, but really 2. One is to buy a drone that has the remote ID technology inside of it. It's called standard remote ID. The other one is to use what's called a remote ID module, which is going to broadcast the location using a separate module that you would put on top of your drone and that you would turn on. It's not connected directly to the drone in itself. That's used for retrofitting older aircraft that are not compliant by default inside the software. The other method is to fly at what's called a FRIA or FRIA, which is an FAA recognized identification area, which is a place where the FAA says it's okay to fly here without remote ID. Think about like your park flyer area where somebody's going to fly a foamy or a small fixed wing type of aircraft. So that's, in a few words, that's what remote ID is. I hope that helps. Play 3 Credits says, starting a business, what kind of insurance do you recommend for liability? What about an LLC? Well, 2 different things. You're going to need an LLC. What is it called? You're going to need insurance for your actual business. That's just for any business, drone or not drone. So we have insurance for Pilot Institute for the building that we're in and for the business in general. And then you need liability insurance for your drone when you fly your drone. So that's going to be more than likely a separate policy via an aviation specific company. Some companies will do both. Some companies will do only one. So in this case, you should get liability insurance for when you fly your drone, which is going to be required when you take on clients. Clients will be asking, we need $1 million liability insurance. And then you can also get hull insurance, HAUL, hull insurance, which is optional, but it's going to cover your actual drone. If you break it, then, or if you destroy it, or you crash it, then they'll give you money to replace it. So, that's what it is. Now, the FAA, I need to mention, does not get involved with insurance. There's no insurance requirement from the FAA. That's only from a business perspective, a common sense perspective, if you want, that you need to get insurance. Do you guys keep track or log? Wait, where did it go? Okay, hold on, that jumped. Okay, do you guys keep track or log of flights taken? What does that mean? And do you need to register each drone we own? Do we keep track of all the flights that we do? Yes, we do keep track of all the flights that we do. But we do that through the manufacturer app usually. Some people keep track of it via a separate logbook. Personally, I don't do that, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't. It's probably a good thing to keep your currency and everything. If you have a bigger program where people need to fly and you need to make sure that they fly every so often, it's a good thing to have them log their flights one way or another. There's different ways you can do that. You can do that in apps like Aloft Air Control. You can use, I can't find my words tonight. Air Data, thank you. There's a bunch of other options that you can use that, but as far as registering the drones that you own, depends on how you are flying. If you fly under Part 107, each of the drones need to be registered individually, and then if you fly for recreational purposes, you get one registration for all your drones. Whew! Can you fly FPV drones for recreational purposes? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a drone, so there's no limitation on that side. Wong is saying, when I try to update my drone registration for the DJI FPV as yes for remote ID, it says invalid serial number. Any suggestion as to where I can get the serial number for the DJI FPV? So you'll have to go into the settings and go into the about section, I think it's called, on the FPV, and then you'll be able to go in there and then see there is a serial ID, serial number. It starts with 4 digits, 3 letters, if I remember correctly. It should be a 1573, I think, maybe for DJI. It's a 4-digit number at the beginning. So if it's a pretty long number. Also, I think somebody might put a link down in the description of our video talking about how to register the drone. How long does it take to get the New York City drone permit? I do not know actually how long it takes. It's not a small time period, but I don't know how many people have been able to get one since it's become a requirement. Sorry. Do all drones need remote ID? All drones that need registration, that are not flown out of FRIA, need to have remote ID. That's the easiest way I can put it. So if your drone needs registration and you're not flying out of FRIA, then you need to have remote ID. If your drone is under 250 grams and is flown for recreational purposes, then it doesn't need remote ID. Every other situation, it does. Okay? Minnesota specific question. There are requirements for licensing and insurance in the state for commercial use. Does that equate to being Part 107 certified? And is that an actual money earning activity? Okay. A Part 107 activity doesn't necessarily make it a commercial activity. Okay? If I go out in the park and I take videos of my kids as they're riding their bikes, and I decide to fly under Part 107 rules, which I can, and I do, that is not a money-making activity. That's not a commercial activity. Now, the other way around, any commercial activity using a drone requires Part 107. That's just a different way of saying what I just said. Not all Part 107 activities are commercial, but all commercial activities are Part 107. I hope that makes sense. So if you're using your drone under Part 107 for a commercial operation, then my guess is that it would require licensing and insurance under the Minnesota rules, but flying recreationally under Part 107 would not apply. Okay. Can the police spy on your property without warrant in the U.S.? That is a good question. And the answer is, I'm pretty sure, is no. There was a recent court case about this. And so I think if it's without a warrant, no, I don't think they're supposed to, because somebody was trying to do that using a third party and then they got in trouble. But no, the police cannot spy on you without a warrant. Any idea of the fate of Droners.io future after the Chapter 7 bankruptcy for the folks that owned it? I don't know, actually. We've seen several comments on forums hinting at the fact that people were not getting paid on Droners.io. I don't want to spread rumors, but we saw a few comments. There was a thread not too long ago on the commercial drone group. And Vic says, to go back, Vic says warrants need our state-to-state regulation. I thought there was a state requirement too, yeah. So yeah, warrants would need to be at the state level. So the fate of Droners.io, I don't know, quite frankly. But if people are not getting paid on there, it's not a good sign. Obviously, Chapter 7 means that whatever money is made in there is going to go to the bankruptcy, the person in charge of the bankruptcy filing, and then it's going to have to be spread between the people that are owed money. And so, I don't know. Maybe I'll be up for sale. Yeah, be interesting. I wonder how many of you watching right now are using Droners or have used Droners.io. And we had a question in the office the other day. We had a bit of a discussion about Droners. What are the things that would make Droners.io better than it currently is? Like, I know sometimes it has a bit of a bad reputation. What is the bad reputation about? I've never used it. I've used ZideView, which used to be called DroneBase, when I first started flying, but not as familiar with Droners. I know what it does, but I wonder what do people think? Okay, somebody says I do and currently do. I'm still getting paid from them. That's good. That's a good sign. Are you still seeing jobs being posted on the platform? Would be my next question. Yeah, that's. I wonder how many people get involved with this and how many people are involved right now. Okay, can I use remote ID without registration? No. Well, I mean, I don't know why you would, but if you need remote ID, it means you need registration. If you don't need registration and you're still broadcasting, there's not really a problem there. So if you don't need registration, but you're still broadcasting, it's not against the law. As a matter of fact, if you have a Mini from DJI, a Mini 4 and a Mini 3, both of these broadcast remote ID, even if you don't want it to, because you can't turn it off. So yeah, you can, I guess, would be the answer. Somebody says, I got a job through there, but no email seems to come for the new jobs. Interesting. Yep. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Whew. Maybe I can have a little piece of chocolate here. Somebody said they had, who was it? The very first comment that was Thorold Inspired said he had crumble cookies and not sharing. Thorold, not very nice. We had crumble not too long ago. Sorry, I'm chewing in front of the microphone. That's not very polite. We even got approval to go pick it up. Yeah, we have a good boss. Hmm. All right. What else do we have? Oh, Airware. Yeah. Since we're waiting for more questions. Yeah, we have. So I don't know if you. I don't think we've talked about this because I don't think we've met since. But we, alongside um, Aloft, we released Airware, a new app to help recreational pilots find all the information in one place. So we have been working on a video which should be posted when later this week or early next week, Ben? Yeah. Uh, about how to use Airware. None of it is it's not very complicated, but we have a little tutorial for you guys. I think it's going to be playing in the background here in a second. But it's a cool app. I actually just talked to Aloft today. We are working already on V2 and adding more controls and more information in it, and more features based on your feedback. So hopefully you should be able to submit Lance requests directly into Aloft Air Control very soon, and then you should be able to. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it. Well, you'll see. We're working on some cool features, and but yeah, the app has been pretty well received. I know a lot of you are saying, well, how is it different from Before You Fly? It's not. It's a copy of Before You Fly as a base. That was the idea behind it, so we can make it better going forward, and we wanted to release it so that you guys can enjoy it, give us some feedback, and then go from there. So yeah, you can see the tutorial playing in the background here. That's going to be released very soon on the YouTube channel. So yeah, more of these videos this year. We have a whole list of videos that we're working on, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, all right. Any questions about Airware? Will Airware have potential to show local ordinance and regulation that prohibit drone activities? As much as possible, yes. It's difficult to keep all those in one location. So without making it super convoluted. So there's not really, unfortunately, an easy way to do this, but it will show you like the important ones, like stadiums, so that there potentially is a TFR in there. We are working, by the way, with a group to it's the Drone Advisory Council. We're working with that group. We're part of that group, and we're working to make a report to the FAA and to Congress about the TFR. And so working on that with Vic, who's in the chat as well. And where was I going with this? Yeah, local regulation is difficult to pinpoint, but we do have a wiki for that. The wiki page, you can find it on our website, and we keep it updated with all the local drone regulation and trying to help you stay out of trouble. Okay, back to the questions. We have Stephen Peck says, do remote controller antenna signal boosters work? Yeah, Ethan giving me 2 thumbs up. I guess you've used them before when you flew the Inspire 1 and a Phantom 4. Yeah, you don't need them. Yeah, there's no real need for those boosters, quite frankly, because why? Because you are flying within visual line of sight. So all of these drones are flying within visual line of sight very, very well without signal boosters. We have a BV loss waiver that we've used to test the remote ID modules, and without signal booster, we could go way far. And so, yeah. We have a signal booster on the Inspire 2, that big gigantic plate that goes underneath that kind of folds like this, and it does work because it's an older technology, but with OcuSync 3.0 and above, it hasn't really been needed. Are there any Category 1 drones being made? Not really. There's no drones that are being advertised out there as Category 1, FAA Category 1. The only one that I know of is straight out of the factory is the Japanese Mini 2 with the Mini 2 battery, Japanese battery, which gives you 5-6 minutes of flight time, and then some slightly custom prop guards to keep it right underneath 249. And then if you have to put a module on top of it, you might be at the edge now of doing that. We haven't tested ours since Remote ID came into effect, but I don't think we could make ours Remote ID compliant without shaving a lot of the prop guards. So yeah, tough. I have the Air 3, but I want to buy the Avata 2. Should I wait to see if consumer drones are banned in the US? Consumer drones will not be banned in the US, can guarantee you that. Uh, I can tell you 99.9% sure that you can buy the Avata today and fly it until it dies, and DJI drones will not be banned in the US. You're fine. My son and I are first time drone users. What is the best way to discharge batteries? Air 2S and Mini 2. A lot of conflicting information online. The beauty of these batteries, quite frankly, is on these newer drones is you don't have to do that. They are intelligent batteries. They will self-discharge to go into storage mode by themselves. So fly them at will, and then they will take care of themselves. How big is Autel flyaway problems? Not big enough that I've heard issues. So just like every drone, there's potential flyaways, but I have not seen a widespread report of Autel flyaway drones, unless I'm not paying attention, but not that I heard lately. Usually we hear from students when these kind of problems happen, or we see them on forums, but I haven't seen any of that. Okay. Woo. What else? How do I get a Japanese DJI Mini 2? It's nearly impossible, unfortunately. The way that we get ours was going through a third-party website because they cannot ship from Japan directly to a US address without going through a third party. So we hired this company called From Japan. That's their website. From Japan, I think .com or .jp might be actually. And we had to buy it from them. We could not buy the additional battery pack, so we only have one battery for ours. Vic might have better information about. Yeah, he just said I just sold my 6 Japanese batteries. Vic, I know had a way to get more of those batteries, but I don't think I ever heard the story of how you get that many, Vic. But maybe you can put it in the comments. It was difficult at the time. We were one of the very early one that got the Japanese Japanese Mini 2. So we had to find ways. I think we published a video on how we did it, but it was difficult at the time because they couldn't ship them in bulk because they had to be attached to another or inside another object. And so, yeah, Vic might give you the story on how he did it since, but for us, it was pretty difficult. They wouldn't let us buy the Fly More combo, so we only got one of those batteries. Okay. Other questions. I've been testing the live stream capabilities of my drone to YouTube. That's cool. Any advice on eliminating the lagging issues? Tim, tell me more about the lagging issues. What kind of lagging issues are you having? Because I think other than having a faster internet connection, I don't think you're going to be able to do much elimination there. Whew. 443. What else can we talk about? Best resource to determine property ownership. Example, private versus public. The GIS for your county. So it depends on your county. Here we live in what's called Yavapai County, huge county in Arizona. And there is a website called the Yavapai County GIS. And we can go in there and we can click on different parcels and see who owns them. I'm sure there's an equivalent for you in your state, hopefully, or in your county, or in your state, maybe. I don't know. But I would look for GIS data of sorts. Ours is really cool. You can literally go and see any parcels and see all the information there. County assessors, thank you. The county assessors website. I think where I used to live in Florida was the same way. You could pretty easily. So yeah, go take a look. Jason just put a link to ours, the Yavapai County one. Somebody says ONX for property owners. I don't know what that means, but that might be one of the answers. Brian Dish said that. Yeah, it's a good app. Okay. Yeah, Ethan agrees. Okay. What else? There's another question here. DJI Mini 3 or Mini 4, which do you recommend as a hobbyist? I'm going to have to say the Mini 4, but I'm going to say if you can get a deal on the Mini 3, I don't think you can go wrong with that. Both of these drones are really good. As a matter of fact, I think the difference in image quality between the DJI 3 and the Mini 3 and the Mini 4 was one of the smallest increase in quality that I've seen in a long time, coming from one generation drone to another. Not to say that it's bad quality. I'm just saying that we're starting to get to the point where the image quality improvements are not going to be as fantastic, I think, maybe I'm wrong, as they used to be. The gap between like the Mavic 1 and the Mavic 2 was massive. Between the Mavic 2 and the Mavic 3 was also fairly substantial. But I feel like between the Mini 3 and the Mini 4, not so much of a difference. Also possibly because they haven't really changed the sensor size all that much and the optics all that much. So yeah, could be why as well. And those two drones were released fairly quickly, one after the other. Falcon Imagery says, any comments regarding DJI Mini battery design tabs? Hairline fractures at tab, still clicks in but results in complete power loss during the flight. Yikes, that sucks. Send it back to DJI. That's definitely not normal. We've flown a lot of DJI. We own a lot of DJI drones. We've flown them quite a bit. Never had this kind of issue. So it could be an isolated issue. I don't think I've seen that issue reported anywhere else. But again, yeah, not sure. Yeah, I would definitely contact DJI about this. Even if they're not under warranty, they might do something for you. V1 Rotation says, nope, never mind. He was responding to somebody else, he or she. I saw another question. Where did it go? Is trust required for all drones, even the Walmart $5 ones? Yeah, $5 drone. I don't know if that's... If you hold it with your hand and there's no controller, it flies by itself, I don't think that's considered a drone because it's not remote control. It's not unmanned aircraft system. So, plus I don't think those can fly outside. So if you fly them inside, then no, you don't need it. So yeah, I would have to see it, but probably not if it's a tiny little thing that just flies indoors. But you know what? Trust is not, it's free. It's 30 minutes, gives you the regulation. There's no reason not to do that. But yeah, man, $5, I don't know where, I don't think I've ever seen a $5 drone. That's crazy. Choop, choop, choop. Somebody says, I'm sure this is oversaid at this point, but I've been loving the Part 107 course. You can never say it too much. We love compliments here, especially Ben. Thank you. We appreciate. Somebody made a comment the other day on video saying, "You're probably getting tired of hearing this, but this is the best drone maneuvers video I've seen online." No, we don't get tired of hearing compliments. Thank you. We appreciate it. And now say something mean to Ben. Geo blah blah blah. Okay, what else? I'm switching between the two. If you get lens permission, I would need to get the geofencing permission through DJI website. That's correct. Are there any other brands of drones where I can just get lens without the geofencing? Yeah, pretty much any other brand of drone except DJI has geofencing. No, I'm sorry. DJI is the only brand that has geofencing. Let's put it this way. So if you get any other drone, but Autel doesn't have geofencing if you want to look at something else that's not DJI. I'm a Part 121 pilot. Awesome. I saw you are too. What are you typed on? I'm actually not 121 pilot. I am a commercial, FAA commercial and FAA flight instructor, commercial single and multi, but I never been type rated. So never got a chance to do that, unfortunately, because of 9/11. So, yep, that's sucks for me. We do fly our Diamond DA40. That's our local airplane here that we have hangared that we use for the company, but no type rating for me. What else? We have, how long before DJI is banned in the US? I don't see that happening, even though some people are trying, but I think there's too much pressure for that. We love your videos. I'm thinking about getting a DJI Air 3 to get my Part 107. Would this be a good beginner drone to do so? Yeah, DJI Air 3, quite frankly, probably the best. I'm gonna make a bold statement. Probably the best bang for your buck today of any drone on the market for recreational or light commercial work. I'm gonna call it a beginner commercial work. I think I think it's going to be hard to beat that. I mean, they will eventually, but um, yeah. So V1 rotation, type rating 911. Yeah, it's a long story. Uh, I came to the U.S. I'm sure a lot of you know I wasn't born in the U.S. I lived in France for the first 20 years of my life, and then came to the U.S. to become an airline pilot. And I came to the U.S. literally less than a year after 9/11 happened. And so still did all my training in the US, but by the time I graduated, which was 2 years later, uh, there were no jobs for US pilots and even fewer jobs for non-American pilots like me. And so I had the option of leaving to go back to France, which I did not want to do. That was not my life goal. Or I had to go and find a non flying job. And I ended up working for the flight school that I went to, that I studied at and get all my ratings. And then I got a visa doing that because I was not a US citizen and you need to have a visa, H-1B visa, for those of you that are familiar. And I ended up going into management, and I was in charge of records for a long time. And then I moved my way up to be in charge of customer service and business development and a whole bunch of different things. And by the time jobs were opening, which was for those that had graduated at the same time as me that were pilots, took 5 or 6 years for them to get finally to get flying jobs. By that time, I was in management, making way more money than I was going to make flying an aircraft, and never ended up becoming a pilot. So I'm not complaining. I love what I did. I love the trajectory. It brings me to where I am today. I still get to fly as a flight instructor on the side when I was working full time as a non-flying job. So yeah, that's the reason why I never did that. And then eventually got a family. So becoming a pilot once you have a family is kind of a difficult thing to do, especially when I had the opportunities that I had managing flight schools and doing all these things. So, and then now here I am, Pilot Institute. So, yep, never got to do the type rating stuff, unfortunately. Okay, what else is in here? Tips for flying in Europe. Their laws are a bit different from what I've read. Yes, I would say. I would say flying in Europe. So Europe is covered by this thing called EASA. EASA is the equivalent of the FAA. It's the European Airspace Agency, I think. Uh, they have a set of rules that are common to all the countries now for drones and for airplane, but each country has slightly specific. It's think about it as like state regulation here, state local restrictions, but for each country. So I would recommend that you go to whatever country you're going to be flying in, go to that country's FAA equivalent, and then get the rules. So type online how to fly your drone in Italy or in France, and then go to that website. In France, it's called the DGAC, which is where you would find the rules. It's the local French FAA that is governed by EASA, but they have their rules, and their rules are on the website. You can find it in English, and then just read about how to fly there. So the short of it, I went to France a year and a half ago to visit my family, and I took the drone with me. I took the Mini 3, I think, or 4. I can't remember now. It was the 3, I think. Took the Mini 3, and then because with the smaller batteries, it stayed under 250 grams, which allowed me to fly it without doing a whole lot of paperwork. And the only thing that I couldn't do was fly over houses, and not even like there is a restriction. And you can go on the website and it will show you exactly where you can fly, how high you can fly, just like it is in the US. I was lucky, my parents live in the country, so I was able to fly it quite a bit without ever getting approval, and then staying away from houses. So with that being said, yeah, that's what I would say. Go and go read their websites. I know some websites. I think Italy. Somebody sent me a message not too long ago. The rules are hidden behind a paywall. Now, why in the world they would do that is beyond me. But um, yeah, so they had to pay a fee to even just get to the rules and to like apply for stuff, which was kind of dumb. But okay, what else? Wait, where am I looking? Here, I took my check ride with an American Eagle captain and passed. Awesome. On September 10, 2001. Holy crap. I was told congratulations on being hired and even still have the letter. Then never heard from them again. Yeah, unfortunately, Steve, that's a story that, yeah, way too familiar with. I have a lot of friends that started a few years before I did and got all their flight instructor ratings, started flight instructing, and only to get caught in the middle of all this and then being stuck there for years and years and years before they could even get an interview with an airline to go somewhere. So yeah, really sad, really sad. It's kind of interesting, something to think about it. If that hadn't happened, where would I be today? Probably flying commercially with an airline somewhere, and you guys wouldn't be here talking to me. So who knows? Kind of interesting to think about. What else? Steve says, I ended up not flying professionally, but have enjoyed wonderful life with family. Yeah, that was definitely a factor for me once I got older and realized that my friends were, not home very often. I knew I wanted to have a family. I have 3 kids now, so it made it that much easier to think about what could have been and what happened. So, and I love what I do today. I haven't worked a day in many, many years, so I'm excited. Who's your favorite superhero? Who's your favorite superhero? Sully? No, from Flying Airplanes. Actually, I kind of like Sully from Monsters Inc. I have to say, if I have to pick a comic book superhero, it'd be Batman. Oh, Valerian. That's true. Valerian is pretty good, but I don't think many people knew who Valerian is. At least not in the US. I have no idea. I hope nobody heard that question. Yeah, somebody said mine is Batman. I'm a Lego fan, so I build a lot of Legos, and I have a lot of Batman Legos. So yes, and hopefully you didn't hear Ben's question and my very bad answer. Okay. Okay, LUT for the Air 2S is on the DJI website. You can go to the download section. You'll be able to do it. Lego is where it's at. Yes, I just finished the Peugeot Le Mans car, the 9X8, I think it's called. It's pretty cool. It's massive. We did the Concorde back here. I have 2 Concordes. I have one here and one at my house. And I'm about to do the Home Alone kit that somebody got me for Christmas. So that's my... and then Lego Mavic, but you have the Lego Mavic. Vic, don't even get started. Don't bring that Lego Mavic. I'm not putting that on. Don't bring that Lego Mavic anywhere because it will disappear, Vic. So Mavic 3 or Air 3. I'm going to say Mavic 3 if you can. And a lot of it, they want to shoot me with the with the shit. What are those called? The Nerf gun. We've been having Nerf gun battles in here. No, don't shoot! Don't shoot! All right, end of the show. End of the show. You remember who signs your paycheck, guys? Wow, these are dirty. All right, we'll see you guys on Friday for news updates. Next week again. Hopefully maybe with app updates on the new Teachable app. And yeah, that's it. Appreciate all your questions, and we will see you then. Thanks for watching.